Protoceratops laid 12 eggs in the region that would become Mongolia's Gobi Desert millions of years ago, long before even the dinosaur-killing asteroid struck. However, those eggs never developed and instead remained frozen in time. They were also eventually discovered by scientists and moved to the American Museum of Natural History in New York, despite all odds. Then, in 2017, experts examined the fossilized eggs in greater depth using a novel method. What they discovered may alter our preconceived notions regarding the dinosaurs. Inside the shells of fossilized dinosaur eggs, researchers discovered an amazing secret. Specifically, there had been a distinct lack of scientific understanding of one aspect of dinosaur life up until that point. In point of fact, Florida State University FSU biology professor Gregory Erickson stated in 2017 that virtually nothing is known about some of the greatest dinosaur riddles. As a result, he set up a new research team to try to find answers to some of these problems. After that, Erickson and his team of experts examined the embryos of two distinct dinosaur species in order to accomplish this. Also, by laying out the age of the undeveloped organisms, he and his group arrived at a few intriguing decisions about how dinosaurs lived and duplicated. In addition, their findings may even provide insight into the mass extinction event that drove these organisms extinct from the planet. Everywhere in history, of course, fossils of dinosaurs have always fascinated people greatly. Additionally, research and technology have advanced significantly since these domains were first discovered. We keep learning new things, but it hasn't just been fully formed dinosaurs that have shown us amazing secrets. In the middle of the 19th century, paleontology became a science. In fact, when British researchers discovered dinosaur bones for the first time, they hypothesized that the creatures had reproduced in a manner comparable to that of modern reptiles. However, the first fossilized eggs were not actually discovered on Earth or in France until later, in 1859. These fossils were at first erroneously distinguished as having had a place with this types of bird. As a result, they went unnoticed for a very long time. Truth be told, it would be an additional 64 years before specialists effectively recognized a grasp of dinosaur eggs. Working in Mongolia, American Museum of Natural History researchers made that discovery. Starting thereon, the dinosaur eggs began to rise up out of each and every edge of the world. Yet one of the animals that had once occupied these shells. While some of the fossils had formed after the inside creatures had successfully hatched, others told a completely different tale. Even the tiniest remains of developing creatures were occasionally preserved. So before the disclosure of dinosaur eggs, little had been truly had some significant awareness of how the animals inside have created. However, experts were able to begin hypothesizing about what took place now that they had access to fossilized embryos. Additionally, numerous researchers came to the conclusion over time that the incubation procedure was comparable to that of modern birds. However, David J. Verdicchio of Montana State University wrote a paper in 2013 that suggested a different theory. He said that some dinosaur eggs had pores on them, which suggested that they had been covered up underground and turned. Verdicchio said that this meant that the process of incubation was more like that of modern reptiles, with no distinct ends. However, much about this field of paleontology was still unknown, and a statement made to FSU in 2017. Erickson summed up the exceptional inquiries: did dinosaur eggs breed gradually, similar to their reptilian cousins, crocodilians, and reptiles, are quickly similar to living dinosaurs, the birds. So wanting to address this question for the last time, Erickson chose to adopt a fascinating strategy. The size of these eggs was about the same as that of a potato. However, the other specimens Erickson was able to acquire were of a completely different caliber. Discovered in Alberta, a province in Canada, the dinosaur Deb and Jerry, or high-packed resource, had once owned these fossils. The duck-billed high-pack resource was capable of growing to 30 feet in length and laid eggs that weighed almost 9 pounds. The eggs appear to be roughly the same size as a volleyball from a distance. Even though these specimens were very different from those found in Mongolia, they provided Erickson with material that was just as exciting. Within the eggs of both sets, you see researchers who found dinosaur embryos that had been fossilized. But could Erickson use dentin analysis to determine their ages and, consequently, how long it took for them to hatch? The professor set out to find out, leading a team of researchers. To begin, Erickson and his team examined the embryo's jaw dentition with a CT scanner. The group then extracted a number of teeth from the fossils, utilizing magnifying instruments. After that, they were able to precisely locate the ancient specimens by zooming in on them. In point of fact, the dentin lines in the teeth became visible, according to Erickson. "I knew we were in business," as the lead researcher told the Washington Post. Yes, the team could now ascertain how long the embryos had been alive. As Erickson explained in his SSU statement, it was an understandably exciting development for the involved researchers at the time. "We could literally count them to determine how long each dinosaur had been developing." Darla Zelinsky, co-author of Erickson's, explained in the same statement that time inside the egg is a crucial part of development. However, due to the rarity of dinosaur embryos, this early stage of development is so poorly understood. The early development and growth of dinosaurs, as well as whether or not they are more similar to birds or reptiles in this regard, may be revealed by studying their embryos. Thus, Erickson and his team were able to acquire solid evidence to suggest how long it took for dinosaurs like Hypochlorus aureus and Protoceratops to hatch as a result of the study. And Erickson himself claims that this is the first time such conclusions have been reached. The team was able to estimate that approximately 40 of the embryo's incubation periods would have been spent developing teeth. What exactly did they learn from these ancient remains? The experts also estimated that these dinosaur eggs took much longer to hatch than avian eggs of roughly the same size, possibly twice as long. As a matter of fact, explicitly the group found that the more modest Hypacasset would have required roughly 3 months to incubate. In contrast, the larger Protoceratops may have developed inside the egg for as long as 6 months. It appears that this is the first time that scientists have been able to pinpoint precise incubation times for dinosaurs other than birds. But there's more. Although Hypacresaurus was unquestionably a large dinosaur, it was far from the largest. Additionally, given that modern birds and reptiles indicate that larger eggs take longer to hatch, it is possible that earlier animals had much longer incubation periods. In point of fact, according to Erickson, these might have lasted nearly a year. "That's really surprising," Erickson told the Washington Post. "I don't think that people would have thought about that for more than a year." The news, on the other hand, came as less of a surprise to Verdicchio, who had long held the belief that dinosaur reproduction was more like that of reptiles than of birds. After all, reptiles will also spend a lot of time incubating, as Verdicchio currently states. However, it is generally accepted in contemporary science that birds are the closest living thing to dinosaurs. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that a lot of experts have concluded that dinosaurs may have had reproductive processes that were similar to those of birds, indicated that some species have parental care. This typically referred to creatures whose eggs were smaller in size and likely hatched faster. The young dinos would have been shielded from predators and protected by the parents' constant presence. However, if some dinosaur eggs took the majority of the year to hatch, there would have been a significant amount of time for the parents to have remained in the same locations. The findings of Erickson and his team have, interestingly, cast doubt on a number of previous hypotheses, raising the question of whether this extended period of incubation actually contributed to the final extinction of the dinosaurs. For instance, it has long been thought that some dinosaurs lived in the Arctic during the warmer summer months. This logic likewise expresses that the animals would have moved south to Canada for the colder piece of every year. However, such a journey now seems unlikely. In point of fact, considering the length of time it would have taken for some dinosaur embryos to mature, it does not appear likely that the animals would have migrated at all. It would also not have been easy for adults to select locations for their nests, since it would have been necessary to locate locations that could be maintained for extended periods of time if the eggs had taken so long to hatch. In any case, those aren't the main hardships related with tending to homes of eggs for broadened times, by spending months in one location. You have to understand that dinosaurs may have made themselves more susceptible to predators, natural disasters, and starvation. To put it succinctly, they may have been disadvantageous prior to the eventual catastrophe. Yes, it is believed by scientists that an asteroid violently collided with our planet approximately 66 million years ago. After that, it was thought that the impact debris filled the atmosphere, preventing sunlight from reaching Earth. As a result, temperatures dropped and ecosystems became disorganized as a result of the darkness. Scientists believe that this event ultimately resulted in the extinction of 75 species of life on Earth. Most likely the creatures that did survive did so by quickly reproducing and being adaptable. For instance, it is thought that the ancestors of modern birds had short incubation times, which would have allowed them to quickly repopulate the devastated planet. However, creatures like the hypacker, Posurus, and Protoceratops have slow incubation times. Would not have found it to be so simple to duplicate. Erickson elaborated in the FSU statement, "We suspect our findings have implications for understanding why amphibians, birds, mammals, and other reptiles survived and prospered at the end of the." However, despite the fact that Erickson and his group accepted the dinosaurs' slow hatching periods might have disrupted the general flow of their endurance. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a thing.